Williams with Doralton, I think it's capital or financials, and the fact that Porsche and Red Bull have seemed to be at a odds in on this deal that was supposed to be. How do you feel about that? And what do you think the possibilities of Porsche possibly acquiring Williams? And now this is hypothetically because this is just what I'm thinking. I'm thinking the fact that Williams is owned by a financial investment company, and investment companies like to make money. All right. I can't even find a connection to Doralton. And I've looked for one. Like, is there a Formula One connection? Is there somebody who owns the team or invest in the team that actually purchased Williams through Doralton? Like, I can't make any connection. So my only legitimate thing is I know it's a financial company. I know they invest and they like to try to see money. And if Porsche was in the market to actually try to get an entire team along with their power unit, would they be up for possibly purchasing Williams? So how do you feel about the break of Red Bull, and how would you feel if Porsche purchased Williams?
So this question about Red Bull and Porsche seems to be a marriage that makes sense on paper, but in
Right.
fine details there seem to be some disagreements. And I don't know what the exact nature of their disagreement is, but I imagine that with the paperwork that was released about the 50% merger and the considerable amount of control that Porsche wanted in Red Bull, there probably were some disagreements over personnel switching,
Okay.
or related to who controls what and what the identity of the team really is. I
Right.
think when Red Bull sat down and really thinks about what 50% really could mean, that might be too much for them, even.
Right.
That actually may have been, there may even been key figures that may have been shifted out because of Porsche's involvement. So
Right.
Porsche definitely is interested in Formula One. There's a market for it. Audi is in. It would make total sense. The new power unit regulations are tailor made for OEMs to join the sport. So that's
Right.
happening. The question is, who do they partner up with? You mentioned Williams, and if you're asking what the connection is between Doralton and Williams, I think it's just people know Formula One and they may even be fans of Formula One and said, we can make this work, for our portfolio. I actually think that I would like to see Porsche team up with Andretti, to be honest, right? Because this question of Andretti has always perplexed me as to why it's been rejected over and over and over again. We keep hearing these things from Stefano Domenicali and others of the reasons why the team can't be accepted, why their entry can't be accepted. They
Right.
want to have OEMs. They want to have the stability of an OEM and their involvement in the sport and to add value. And then we have this Porsche deal evaporate in real time with Red Bull,
Right.
proving that this idea that this hypothesis that you get more stability with OEM involvement as opposed to a privateer or whatever you call it, it's just not correct. OEMs enter and leave the sport all the time, and it's not going to change. But I think that if there is some underlying reluctance of Formula One to add Andretti as another team, I'm not going to speculate as to why that is, but
Right.
it's there. That would be improved significantly with teaming up with Porsche, because Formula One already wants to work with Porsche to begin with, right?
True.
Andretti is trying to get into F1 as quickly as they can, and it would be hilariously transparent for Formula One to say, Porsche, you've teamed up with Andretti, but suddenly I don't want you in the sport now, right?
Right.
Like that. The argument doesn't stand up to scrutiny in the way
Right.
that it doesn't stand up to scrutiny now, to be
Right.
perfectly frank. But it would stand up to scrutiny even less with a partnership with Porsche. Not only that, but there are many reasons why an increased involvement in the U.S. markets in terms of Grand Prix in Miami, Las Vegas, et cetera. There are many reasons why that can't grow in an unbounded way without having some increased representation in the sport itself, either in
Right.
terms of teams or drivers or what have you. So, and we already have Haas, but Haas is its own entity. We can do more, and I would always prefer to have another team come onto the grid as
Yes.
opposed to remanaging an existing
Right.
team,
Exactly.
because it's not just space for
rebadging.
drivers, it's space for engineers and team principals.
Yeah,
and
there are a lot of
there's an
jobs that come
entire
along with that.
infrastructure there. Exactly. That's exactly what I want to see. So regarding Williams, it's Porsche probably could link up with Williams, but I would rather see a new entry with Andretti Porsche.
Thanks for watching another episode of Wolfpack Performance. Don't forget to check out some of my other content on Formula One and motorsports topics. Like, share, subscribe, and we go live on the weekends. See you soon.